poor, my people have become richer. When I say your richness is my richness. I find how things, people of area could change. Now, how many men of crores? केते कोटिपति बाहर पड़े केते लक्षपति हजार हजार संख्या लक्षपति सौ संख्या कोटिपति बाहर पड़े रास्ता घाट गमनागमन विकास प्रतिभा को जगह आज उन्नत स्थान 4 लेनिंग रोड्स ब्यूटीफुल छक सुंदर छक सब industry of the impact of industry, you feel more indirect impact than direct impact. How many people are working? MSIB people, that's Odisha government has one is MSIB department. All these mega industries in Odisha, nowhere they have gone for the ancillary industries. Ground level they have not gone. Not in the Raurkela RS, the biggest industries. Ancillary industry कहीं गले नहीं. Now also we have to work out. Now the industries should go to the down level, downstream. Downstream industry provides more employment. That gives more revenue. Our survey has gone. Now the small scale, medium scale industry provide more employment, they give more revenue. The big industries do not give much revenue. I find from industrial sector, revenue is not much. Revenue more is from the mines area, from mining royalty. Not more from there, not from the industrial sector. That's also very much discouraging now. However, all said and done, industries pass through ups and downs. Good time comes, bad times comes. In good times, we earn thousands of crores, hundreds of crores, many crores. Now only mining people, they are earning super normal profit in the language of Honorable Chief Minister of Odisha. Many are earning loss. They are now approaching banks for restructuring, I find from many banks, many industries. Some are also thinking to sell out the industries. My request will be to everybody, this is a time, transition period. Let us pass through this time. Again good time is coming. Again there will be a rise in the world market. And for the atmosphere of world market there will come. So for today and for tomorrow, we want to witness more number of industries. Mr. Gupta is here representing capital industries. How they are successful entrepreneur? Which workshop has given him training? Which MBA college has given them training? They themselves they are MBA college. Successful entrepreneur in their sector. First, I feel if I have determination to be a business, go for a business, to be a business leader, I can be my guru. So let us have determination, let us have dedication. Why going for employment? How much will get employment? आजिकाली बाजार रे 12 बत्ता नहीं दर दाम ऊपर सीमित वेतन रे ये दर दाम वृद्धि रे ये घर स्त्री तो पूरी दब तो अधिक आम निजुक्ति क्षेत्र को निजे व्यवसाय भितर जावा दरकार. We want more health, we want more income, we want a better standard of life. We must choose business. We can create what business I should opt. School training will not tell us. Let us ask our mind. Let us, while sleeping in the night, you think what business you should opt. The man who can run a business, he can be a good leader. Let him not take more of time. I am also happy here in the midst of so many entrepreneurs, amazing, dedicated people of our states who have gone for business, some are planning to go for business, some are successful entrepreneurs, and ultimately we all will be successful. We are living in a state where Lord Jagannath is including everybody. Lord Jagannath, Prabhu Jagannath is above everybody. Let us take his blessings. Let us go for industries. Let us go for business. Let us be a successful businessman. Let us be business leaders. Lead the state in the business sector. Thank all of you.
Sir, we pray God that you be our finance minister for next 2-3 terms. At least we can see a brilliant, vibrant Odisha in the years to come, sir. Sir, Odisha Economic Forum have released a book captioned Best Practices in Human Resources. This book has been authored by several authors. Before that, I want to make a small announcement. Since last 1 year, we have been traveling to different parts of Odisha and we have gone to several industries. We have found out a small boy. His name is Rohit Patni. He is from Spa Group. He is from the Rohit Ferrotech. He is from Rohit Ferrotech and he is a 26 years boy and he has been very keen in industry. Perhaps he is not there. Some of the, I think his father is there. He has gone out. We want to give a small memento to him because such a small boy traveling all the way to Calcutta to Bhubaneswar.
He's here.
Releasing a book captioned Best Practices on Human Resources. May I request Mr. Ramesh Mahapatra, President UCCI and Honorable Minister to kindly release the book.
Let's close.
Morning everybody, it's not a 12. Ever Mr. Professor Gadai program was actually initiated by Dr. Vishwanath Das, is the President of Odisha Economic Forum, and he came forward and we had a joint program with UCCI, and as the Vice President of UCCI, I congratulate him. I thank him very much. He is the person, he is the initiator, he is everything for this purpose, and of course we have taken participation for organizing this seminar. This seminar is a punching thing from economics and also HR. So it's really a nice topic for leadership for future days. And for that, I want to thank our Minister Professor Rai, who is the philosopher and guide for UCCI, and we consider him always that he is the person who guides in every matter, and we are thankful to him. Despite his busy schedule, he could make it to be here and could be here in time. His guidance, his suggestions, his advice, his motivation is really praiseworthy. Then I thank Dr. Prasanna for in a senior position for a year. He was Panchayat Raj and entrepreneurship development, etc. It's really praiseworthy, and I thank you very much. Mr. Alok Rai, very much. Mr. Antun Ras, the Director of NALCO, nature and also the main decision makers generally in all industries. wherever HR is there. And the industrial relation and HR, the board related, and his advice is also very nice, and we have learned many things from him. Mahendra Gupta is the senior member. We have technical ideas also we appreciate and thank him very much. While I was listening to the entrepreneurship management of our Honorable Minister and also the entrepreneurship management, and even they suggested that the entrepreneurship management must be the part and parcel of MBA institutes. For one thing, because now we have all talked very seriously, just I want to make my own feeling. Working so many years in the industry, are very much in Eastern India and in other Western or North Indians, or particularly Western India, there is country. But the Chief Minister may be Modi government time, but not a single Gujarati boy could be admitted in Ahmedabad for last 10 years. So Chief Minister called the team of ministers and the bureaucrats and told them that let us have one student from Ahmedabad, from Gujarat, so administrative team, and send him to IIM Ahmedabad for admission to IIM Ahmedabad, with the understanding that after 10 months his performance will be evaluated. So we wanted to meet him and evaluate his performance. They saw that he was not found there. So they asked his friends and his teachers, faculty members. Then they told that he is now staying 7 kilometers. Then he told that I am now imparting coaching to the students as to how to get admitted diamond. So that is whatever we may be after we read our MBA or management degree, we always try the organizations. In some communities in India, they are labor employees, they are employers. That's the example I gave. We will not find example like Marodis to the drivers. So they are all been born and immediately brought up to be entrepreneurs only. Apart from their imparting training on entrepreneurship in top management institutions, but that the inherent character must be there for that purpose. Anyway, during my inaugural session cannot be over. So I tried to take a little my own feeling to make it a little lighter. I express that. The hotel, thank you to members from different industries have participated in this. And I particularly thank Dr. Das for Economic Forum for their initiative for making this seminar a great success. Thank you so much.
Oscar. Head into.
All the delegates to come forward. May I request all the delegates to come forward. And Professor Santosh Tripathi, Professor Dhananjay Mishra will be the chairman, and Mr. P.K. Mishra, former secretary called, he has gone on an urgent telephone call. Now we have Mr. Ashok Tripathi, Mr. Kuldeep Gupta of Verogon Bank, welcome you to the stage. Mr. Dr. A.K. Sorry, he is from the famous Hemlata Institute of Medical Science. Mr. Alok Roy, Director MSME. I welcome them all to the dais.
Hello.
They are in fact in the IT business since last 20 years, information technology. They are doing for the Odisha police also. They are working for different offshore companies also. We are very fortunate to get him today in Bhubaneswar. Otherwise, he is there in London or Singapore. But he is a very dynamic person.
BSNL फ्रेंचाइजी के वो हैं चलिए भाई देख नहीं रही
And the last one is the mining person. He must be knowing to sir, Mr. Tarini Patnaik. Mr. Tarini Mahanti.
All the directives to you, and computers would have given you all the directions as to who takes over next. So that's why the psychological contract and the emotional attachments are very, very important.
Can you specifically touch upon the success management and leadership development? Because Tata has a very systematic way of developing its own leaders. So that the previous session can be best HR practices and leadership development can be correlated with the.
Actually, this whole subject itself is so huge and robust, and it just cannot. Will be doing injustice to if you ask me to just go through leadership program or a leadership issue on 2 minutes. It will be totally injustice. But nevertheless, I will try to touch upon. There is a robust delayering and a succession planning in a company, and again the attachment to the companies are always given the maximum and it's a philosophy which grows together. So the company and the person grows together, and finally your assessment. Again, the leadership role, how it comes to, there are certain jargons like there were talent review systems, and then with the talent review there are 360-degree feedbacks, and with 360-degree feedbacks there are personal development programs which are created. Personal development program is not just attending a training. So again, it can be on the job, it can be a managerial, it can be a functional, it can be technical. So that, of course, before that, you should understand that the person is trainable, the person has the material. It's a fact, and we believe that if a person has metal, it will shine. It will make noise. Without that, of course, there is no point trying to polish something which is not glazed or that will not shine. So those are the things. So basic traits are there, and then we have our own systems. Like one thing we follow is Tata business model. TBM we call it. It's more of an American system where the health of organization is assessed, and based on a lot of feedbacks are there. Business excellence model, and those business excellence model, if you take part, if you take part in such models or in such activities, the personal growth is tremendous other than the knowledge that you grow. So that's again, those are the exposures, and those are the one thing which I see or which I miss, that those excellence models in quite a lot of companies, they simply do not follow. So again, whether you take the human resource as an asset or a cost, the first thing is somebody asks, "Kya re, manager ko rakhne ke liye kitna paisa lagega?" So again, so you are basically aiming at a cost. No doubt, everybody will cost, but of course we will have to draw a very thin line between the asset and the cost. The human resource as an asset as a cost, and based on that, we need to have some measure. This one graduation that we have done in Tata Steel, I know, is lot of subjectivities were there, and whenever there is a human talent review, there are a lot of human crime. And that's why I have put that best within bracket. In the initial when I started, there cannot be any best practices in human resources. It is ever developing, it is ever improving. So in our company also we had seen that in talent review we had a lot of halla, we had a lot of negotiations. Over a period of time, with all our experiences and feedbacks, it got developed. The only thing in here is that more and more measurable activities becomes. How good is a person or how good he is in deliveries, if it can be measured and it can be accounted for, I think that itself gives a result, and that has given a result. So it's a tremendous effort. Then the organization got a restructuring done in sometime 10, 12 years back. There a lot of inputs were there that it was a bad restructuring, it was a good restructuring, a lot of young people were brought in, a lot of young people were given higher positions. But over a period of time it has settled at, the average age of the company. Although the company is more than 100 years of time, but then the average age of the executives have come down. So that is how it has become more agile, nimble-footed. Because today the change and response is one of the major important factors in any company to thrive and improve. So that agility and nimble-footedness has to improve, and that is where being a century-old company, so those things were a little missing, and those are what has come out. So these are some of the restructuring, new things that has come up in Tata Steel that I know, and that has paid off. It's a huge activity, it's a huge reorganizational activity, and it requires a lot of courage. It might cripple the company, it can take the company, but nothing will happen in one day. It will take some time to settle down. I just flip to just next. Again, technology, competitive presence, slowly. Competitive presence, response to changes, as I talked of, these are important. Next. Again, the cost and asset part I was talking next. It's too light. Again, one thing, this is one for us, I'll just develop and finish up. In one thing, this is a pyramid that we follow in our growth. The vision that we co-create, and we know that we are all part of it. That is translated into activities through balanced scorecard. Again, that's the only jargon I am using, Mr. Gupta. Sorry for that. Balanced scorecard is a tool that we use to, for next 5 years, where to reach and what are the actions that are required to do, what are the measurable units each year that we need to power up. And then from balanced scorecard, it cascades down into individual key result area. And then from key result area, it will cascade down to field service agreement, the FSAs in each of the departments. And from FSA, it becomes the review, the talent review. Then from talent review, the personal development program and the reward and compensation. Okay. So, if you have got any slides, so that's all again, that's the whole thing. With this, thank you for ACCI and the forum for giving me this opportunity. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Mihir would like to touch upon certain standard practices in HR management and also a case analysis.
At the outset, I'm thankful to Mr. Das for giving me this opportunity to say a few words. Some of my previous speakers said that they are misfit for this job. Exactly, I run a small organization that's a professional firm, but I don't have acumen and knowledge about all the jargon of the HR management. Out of my past experience, I'm going to share some of my opinions on this. Well, friends, now situation demands that I should start my talk with a small joke. That is, two friends were there. One friend was very smart, like Mr. Also, and another was dull like me. So one friend, he used to eat food at the hotel at free of cost. And the other friend, like me, he kept on asking, how is that you manage always a free meal in the hotel? He said it's very simple. Like yesterday I went there and asked for a soup and added some color to it, and I said that you see, after the food I ordered the soup and I told them, you see your soup has got something, some additive, some color, some nonsense color into it. So then he said, well sir, we'll waive your bill completely. Go home, don't pay bill. Then I went, the friend like me, he went, and the next day he ate everything, and at the end he ordered for the soup. The waiter said, sir, today's soup is not there. And then he did not have the clue what to do, and he had to wash all the utensils in the hotel. So this is in a lighter vein. My purpose of saying this is that whatever I had to say, all my predecessors have already said. So that is the advantage of being, the end speakers, parenters. Like all the audience, you will not be interested to listen. You will be in a hurry to go. And second thing is, the job is made lighter by the predecessors. Anyway, this is in a lighter vein. Friends, we all will agree that human is the best creation and we are blessed. Anything ever created by the God. So that becomes, because human has the intelligence, that becomes easier on part of the management, on part of anybody to manage a human being. Well, because the human being is also associated with a lot of variables like emotions, jealousy, mood, greed, and so many things. That makes human being very unpredictable. And they don't behave equally like a machine in all the situations. So, like a machine manual, there cannot be a rigid HR policy. Our chairman has also rightly introduced this subject. So, what should be the policy? Like any professional, every manager faces two situations. That is usual, which can be handled by money. Another is unusual, where in the last session we discussed about intuition. That intuition has to come into play. When the situation is not usual, then the HR manager has to preempt things which is ruling or which is likely to rule and design a policy by which he can put things into place. Friends, I'll share some of experiences of my life. Like my younger son, he never used to write anything. When he was in DPS, he never used to write even at home, even at the school. So, but one day, at the end of the year, he got an award in the award ceremony, scholarship ceremony. And I was surprised, and I asked, what is the reason? What is the award? Then they said that this is the remarkable improvement in the year he got in his particular class. Then I asked the teacher, you were saying that all the characteristic approach to punish him, to reward him, nothing worked. Then how did you manage to teach him that he should write? I said, sir, I did a small thing, He used to complete his writing, his task, as the last student in the class. But still, I made all the students in the class applaud for it, always. That gave him the moral booster. Then he started writing. So this is nowhere, in no teacher's training this would have been taught. So she did that. Friends, another situation had come. One employee, while working in a machine shop, he died. And there was unrest in the factory. Total compensation as per Industrial Dispute Act, everything was given. But the employee, all the employees, they were not agreeing to stop the strike. Then the HR manager, what he did, he promised them a job to the wife, still he didn't want. Then at last, he made a very innovative idea, like putting up a statue in the factory premises. That appealed to everybody, and everybody agreed to work again. Thank you. Well, before I forget, I'll just take 1 minute. And the finance department said, no, it is not a business related expenditure, income tax will not allow it, so I am not going to pay for this. The HR manager said, come what may, I am going to give the put the expenses in the company's account or go ahead with the expenditure. And likewise, the finance manager thought even the income tax people, they disallowed it. They said it is not related. This is the employee, anything you spend on him, it is not related expenditure, allowed expenditure. It went to the appeal also rejected, and in the tribunal, they held that putting up a statue of the employee keeps on boosting morale of the employees, those who look into it, look to that, and so the productivity also goes up with the morale, so it's a business related expenditure, the income tax also allowed. You must have known after success of Chandrayaan, Mr. Kasturi Rangan got so many offers, so many applications from NASA professionals, even at a 5% of the salary what they used to get. So this is what, it is not the monetary benefit by which you can design a HR policy. It is always the understanding the need of the particular group of employees or a particular employee which will drive you. And like my predecessors, they have discussed about the Japanese model. Japanese model is a lifetime job model. They never fire anybody. If there is a need, then they outplace them in some other sister concerns. But I have a friend here who is working in Sri Ram Group. All of them, all of the employees, they work not in terms of years, in terms of decades. That's a quite a good thing. Otherwise, the Hari Sadhu advertisement is quite rampant in India. People, employees, they take flying different jobs, how better they are managed. That is not.
In fact, of late there has been a very crazy, tendency to talk about the best practices in HR or in any discipline for that matter. But let me tell you that what is best practices for some organizations or what works for a particular organizations or large organizations or multinational corporations may not work in a regionally, regionally located small or medium enterprise. You cannot be replicated. Best practices in HR is, as they say, but I think human resource, as a resource, it has been recognized in the recent times during last 2 decades. And this has been agitating, the entire business fraternity that the human resources, the key driver, it drives the entire organizations towards transformation, growth and success and excellence. So I think that is what HR, this is a small introduction. I thought I'll give a backdrop as to how we should proceed further. So I request, at the outset, I request Mr. Biswal, who is from finance department, because this is a platform where we have in the previous session we talked a lot about creating the next generation of business leaders, and particularly in the state thrive, prosper and grow. So in fact, the finance minister, in fact, he has set the tone for the entire workshop. So I request Mr. Biswal also to share his thought on the HR best HR practices.
Session and members, friends. When Dr. Das invited me to speak on this occasion, I categorically told him that this may not be my cup of tea, in the sense that I'm a public servant serving in the state for last 25 years, more than 25 years. And I have been looking after taxation, and now I am also the budget officer of the state. So my scope of work is quite different from what we perceive to be discussed in this session. However, I would like to share some of my experience while working in the field and how entrepreneurship grow. And for that, as many of the speakers today, they have highlighted that no degree from a business school is required. But fact means that the state, as I I'm a part of the state government. I must say that the state has the responsibility to foster entrepreneurship through its policies and policy interventions. And I think the state government is in the right direction in promoting. What business would you like to start? He said, you see, now I am just preparing some Ayurvedic medicines and I am selling it in the bus stand. I don't have a fixed place of business. I'm just taking it to the bus stand and selling it myself. Now I want to start a business of producing it in more quantity. Then I asked him, where would you get the finance? Then he said that there is a piece of land in the name of my wife, and now I have approached the bank, State Bank, and they have now volunteered to finance now. He is in the job getting around 14,000 or 15,000 like that. So basically what I mean to say that entrepreneurship is a vision, a commitment, a perseverance. And for that Mr. Dr. Das, his organization, UCCI, for inviting me to share my feelings with. Thank you.
Also situation in our state. And we'll move on to Mr. Ashok Mahapatra, and who has a very rich experience in India as well as in US, and he's an entrepreneur in his own right, and he has been exposed to cross-cultural setting. I request Mr. Mahapatra to share his thought on best HR practices.
I and the organizing committee of Orissa Economic Forum to organize such a very informative as well as timely session. And my introduction is loaded up. I am not really an entrepreneur, aspiring to be one. Of course, that's what I think we should all be talking about. I have experience in US. The thought I can present to you is from experience what we should not do in HR best practices. Because we have a list of best practices, we all talk about it, but my experience in India has been that with a great intent we start to implement a great HR management system in a company, system policies are not taking off in organizations. This is not just by reading books or theory. This is by talking to many different colleagues and friends and also doing a little bit of academic research for small organizations, relatively small to medium scale organizations. Can we get the slides up? When I think about what are the common errors that we tend to ignore in implementing a good HR management system in an organization, starts with number one. Rule number one I found is that do not experiment with HRM in your organization. We tend to believe that HR management policies and procedures can be experimented within an organization by thinking this may work, that may work from my own experience, our own culture, whatever it is. Always believe that the HR policies that you are trying to implement in your organization, the impacted people are your best assets. You cannot make your best assets a scapegoat of experimentation. Rule number one. That's what I find, that many organizations have a great intent of a great HR policy, great HR management system, but tend to ignore this basic fact. Okay, we can keep on going. Just keep on going. All right. Now, that's one thing I'll suggest. Have some experts do change your HR system with minor experimentation, gradually having your improved whimsical experimentation. Rule number one. Rule number two that I find is that being a boss, being an entrepreneur or otherwise, do not drive the HR bus. Being a boss Don't drive the HR bus. Be the leader. Have the vision. Drive the vision. Facilitate the best HR policy is based on your experience, number of years you serve in the organization. Obviously, the performance-based culture is not developed, right? Those are the things that are hurting them. Unionization is well accepted in Japan, but the unionization is within the organization. Organization has a union. Every organization talks, oh, speed is life. Oh, you're going there fast, man, speed is life. It becomes a corporate lingo. That's a culture. In Target, we don't call a customer a customer. We call a customer a guest. It is throughout the organization that how our guests are treated. Give them a great experience when they come to the retail store. So every organization must try to find what is their organizational culture. If you have a culture, great. There are some of the things I have put on the slide that the business leaders.
Yeah, sure. Rich experience about the common errors and fallacies which we encounter in HR management. And I think again, considering the time constraints, we move on to Ujjwal Chatterjee from Tata Sponge. I think Tata's companies are known for its very the best HR practices and their great HR philosophy, and they have been pioneer in setting up very new trends in HR practices. So over to Ujjwal Chatterjee.
Knowing fully well that a hungry man is an agony man, so I cannot afford to linger on the issue. I'll straight away get to the point. As a background, I am a mechanical engineer by training, and right now working as a project head, developing a greenfield project for Tata Sponge in Ambur district. And I am living in this place for the last almost 6 to 7 years, although I have deep roots in the state itself. Prior to that, I have spent almost more than 2 decades with Tata Steel, working in most of their mines and collieries, and as well as some of the so that's the background. So being associated with large industries, so I will have to dwell upon a little bit of some of the ways and means of HR practices. With due apology to Mr. Gupta, I will try to avoid as less as Japanese as possible. So I will flip through some of the slides, and before that I go to the slides. I am working for a number of years for a large industry, and when I came to a smaller industry, the perception and the HR values itself made me learn a lot of things. Like in a large industry, I have a lot of parking space, so you can park people where non-performers and performers you can choose. But in a small industry, it has to be crisp and objective, and you have got very less space to accommodate trade-offs. So you have to be very, very serious and objective in your whole industry. So with that, I just flip through the slides. Some of the main practices, managing people and impacts, need for good HR policies and challenges, philosophies, HR practices. Again, the HR practices all revolve around the business strategy, and of course the HR strategy comes from the business strategy and your business values, your industrial values, industrial objectives, which leads you to finally financial results. So all these tantrums and drum beating finally leads to financial results. Nobody can deny it, but obviously that's not the end thing, but that's also one of the major objectives, which keep on evolving and making grow. Second thing, no individual can aspire to grow unless and until the business grows. So both has to grow together. If somebody thinks that you will rise from a lowest point to the highest level and the business remains there, then he must be staying in his own paradise. So the whole finally objective has to be that the business. So business objectives being the ethics, the values and the goals and objectives are one of the most important. So from taking a clue from that is again three things where the HR practice, the employee, the job. Just now the previous speaker spoke about the reporting boss, so the job, the workplace and the company. So these three are the relationships. I think these three relationships are very close with it, and since human beings are involved, a lot of subjectivities are involved, a lot of emotional attachments are involved, sense of belongingness is there. I have also worked for an organization for a very short span of time, which is Fortune 500 company, where every day 20 people walk in and 20 people walk out. But they are very professional and they are making money like anything. But you know, the difference is that they work for it, that's all. So the relationship ends there. In India, at least, we know that we are emotional people. For that, we sometimes depend also. But whatsoever it is, that's a chain we have, and that comes from our home, and you cannot leave it before the office. So it comes to the office also. So the emotional attachment also plays a major role, and we cannot ignore that. So again, the need for HR, high performance, formulation of vision. Vision again is what I said is that unless and until you have vision, you have created a vision. If you can co-create it along with your own people as to where you want to reach. Like the President of the US in early 60s made a statement that by the end of the decade, the man from US will be the moon. That's a vision statement. So that's where the country would like to look at or see that a person from US will be the moon. And if you have a vision statement like that or vision, so I am sure everybody can work together to finally reach the objective. Without a vision, it will be all dreams and wishful thinking. So similarly, formulation of vision, developing positive psychologies or psychological contract, as I was saying, our emotional attachment to the organization, formulation of implementation of policies, provision of support and advice to line managers. Again, HR becomes a very supportive role. HR just cannot be, fill in the forms, take a feedback and that's it. Otherwise then computers would have generated.
My speech, I wish to thank all. As he always made. I am also grateful to Mr. Alok Roy. Despite his busy schedule, he has come all the way from Cuttack. My special regards to Mr. Prasanna Mishra, who was Industry Secretary not so much previously, but recently he was the Industry Secretary, and he has driven several policies for the government. Then Mr. Santanu, the great academician, he is with us. And this I end. I also thanks to my friends from the Chandaka Industrial Estate Entrepreneurs Development, and I welcome you all and thank you all. Now may I request Mr. Alok Roy, may I request Mr. Mahendra Gupta, Vice Chairman CII, to give his address.
Friends, Sri Prafulla Chandra Gadai, dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. Very good morning to you all. At the outset, I would like to convey my thanks to Human Resources with a noble objective to create business leaders for the next generation and for creation of employment opportunity for the unemployed. As you know, HR as such is a complex issue. Being an industrialist of the state with a huge employee strength, I personally know and value the importance of human resources like our state. Every year, so many new talents are passing out and going outside the state, country for a better future prospect who otherwise should have been happily serving in the state. And had there been infrastructure available compared to industrially rich states like Karnataka, Maharashtra, Gujarat, due to lack of infrastructure despite Orissa being rich in mineral. It is good that due to state government vision and hustle, there is a need to encourage industries for use of natural resources, uniform taxes throughout the country, lower rate of interest, keeping in view the slide in global economy, bailout package for sick industry, water electricity subsidy, reservation in state purchase policy supplemented with an uniform taxation policy are some of the critical area for an industrial proper state.
Now, may I request Mr. Jagdev, Vice President UCCI, to
focus on creating training infrastructure and coming up with a clear roadmap for building talent pool of skilled manpower to keep pace with the rapid industrialization and growth of IT and service sectors in the country, and also strengthen industry and academia interface also. This summit on Skill Odisha, it was largely addressed the issue of employability and making the fresh engineers, technicians industry ready with the growth of industries in the times ahead. Perspective and put them on top of the corporate and top management agenda. I slightly differ with Dr. Vishwadev Das. He said why you have chosen such a dull topic. I think HR is always should be on the top of everybody, the leaders' agenda. You may have a beautiful grand vision, you may have a well-designed structure, you may have beautiful systems and very well, of course, the attitude and competency. I think this so-called vision, mission, structure, strategy systems will never work. I believe HR continues to be one of the most lively topic in the organizations, and leadership is one of the most debated topic in the amongst the management experts and the academicians. But nevertheless, congratulations once again to Dr. Vishwadev Das and his wonderful team to organize this event and to give us this platform to speak, to deliberate on the HR issues. So that in the technical sessions also the speakers and the panelists can take it forward also. What is happening in the HR landscape. So before that, I think I'll give a brief overview of global context as to what is that happening in the full-blown recession, deep depression, large-scale employment in USA, Europe. I think the leaders across the world are developing markets. That is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Korea, what we call BRICS countries. And in this context, the business leaders are also exploring ways and means to manage their strategy, systems, and people, cost and risk in such a challenging business environment. And as the world relevant and contemporary theme, the great transformation shaping new models. So what are these new models the global leaders talk about? The new models range from economy, but what is the takeaways from this global event for HR professionals and the business leaders who have gathered here and which may impact the business and also the government policies in the times to come? It may not impact today in the immediate, but then it may impact also with other countries as well. So what are the key issues also this particular event has thrown up? That the economy must grow and reduce rising inequalities and income disparities and create jobs. So no economic growth, no jobs. And what are the models of employment? I think we need for all of us to emphasize on entrepreneurship development also. And in this context also, developing next business leader is very important to strengthen our small and medium enterprise segment and enabler, and to create conducive ecosystems to enable manufacturing industries or enterprises to operate at optimal efficiency and also growth. It is very important also to note here that, and also the global leaders emphasize that the one job in manufacturing sector or small and medium enterprise segment creates 6 jobs in the downstream and ancillary stream. And also the leadership, the global leaders also, they debated on the need to create new leadership also based on trust, values and collaborations also. So with all abundant, mineral resources and rich in other water resources, I think Odisha is definitely on a high growth rate.
I was very happy to know that we have to think some new areas for development of entrepreneurs in forthcoming times. So with these things, and since I will be in the technical session where I will be interacting with yourself also, so I will be taking much more time over that period.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roy, for a nice deliberation. As you know, MSME in the state of Odisha is promoting several self-help works. A lot of people are involved. They are extending technology, and Mr. Roy has joined recently, and I welcome him to the state of Odisha, and I hope that the state of Odisha will be more benefited so long as he has the director of MSME Qatar. Now,
Minister, my dear friends on the dais and off the dais, I am indeed feeling extremely happy to be associated in this HR Summit 2012, organized so thoughtfully by my friend Vishwadev Das and his colleagues. Due to paucity of time, I won't take much of your time. It's about creation of wealth. It's not about personal enrichment, but about societal empowerment. I remember when I was Finance Secretary in Government of Odisha, once I was having a very interesting interaction with the then Chief Minister Biju Patnaik. We had a file sponsored by the Panchayat Raj Department on fixing a standard remuneration, standard salary for Panchayat secretaries. I as Finance Secretary had objected to this standardization. I had taken the view that we should not introduce bureaucratization in panchayats. So because of this difference, the matter ultimately won. I said, sir, in my opinion, you cannot put all the panchayats of our state on a common denominator and say that the secretary would be getting, say, 2,000 rupees on a standardized basis. I foresee a situation, but we have to have a different mindset. I will give you one example, another example from my days as Finance Secretary. You see, Odisha Gram Panchayat Act 1948 was one of the earliest acts dealing with democratic decentralization in the state. And from that legislation, one gets to know that panchayat is a body corporate. It's a legal person. It can be sued, it can sue. So one day, as Finance Secretary, I asked the then Panchayat Raj Odisha, let there be some rethinking, brainstorming as to how the business schools should be the incubator for tomorrow's entrepreneurs. These are some of my straight thoughts I thought I will share with you. And I again thank you for having given me this opportunity to do so. Thank you.
In-depth study. If we don't generate our Indian entrepreneurs, then the days are not far off that we will find only.
I'm really thankful to President Chamber of Commerce and Industry and other office bearers who have made me to come to your midst to participate in a topic which is not at all a dull topic. With the expansion of industries, with the expansion of economic activities in our state, we need to give more emphasis on the human resource aspect. We need to create more business leaders. It is the call of the time. It is a very timely topic. In appropriate time, Chamber of Commerce have chosen it for a detailed discussion, which you will have in the technical session. My previous speakers have touched upon the point very correctly. So while speaking few minutes, I am little confused. Which point I should touch? So that it touch the point. Why we are exporting iron ore to China, Japan, Korea? Why we could not set up an industry at Paradeep? Now the global, in the scenario of a global depression, where are we? What should be the role of RBI? Should we discuss that point? To me also a question arises. Large number of colleges are now teaching MBA on HR. 2 years course, 3 years course. So they are well educated to deal with the HR aspect. So they can be good business leaders. So what is the necessity of discussing this issue? To me, first, we must expand our business activities in the state or in this country, for which a congenial atmosphere needs to be created. Now, it's a fact, whole world is passing through an economic crisis. India is no exception to that. But everybody in our country expected there will be some economic package, favorable economic package by the RBI, which can control the situation, bring a change of the present scenario. Government of India failed to take reform measures to correct the economic position. The RBI's economic package is quite disappointing. That will not have much impact on the market economy today. It was expected there will be some change in the